the thing is that I will take you through the qualitative aspect, which is more of using things like content analysis, using NVivo to do some of the analysis and all that. Yeah, so, and it's good that when you are starting your PhD, you have an idea about how to conduct a very good literature review. One of the reasons why you have to conduct a very good literature review is that it will give you the opportunity to know what people have done already. So that you don't repeat the same thing that people have done. Because if you do the same thing that people have done already, it's going to be like people will ask you what is new about what you are researching about. So it's through literature review that will help you to know that, okay, this thing people have done it already, so there's no need for me to do it again. Also, through literature review, you also get to know what we call the research gaps. And the research gaps tend to be the existing problem or emerging problems, which you can tackle. And when you are able to tackle it, it becomes your contribution to literature. Not only literature, your contribution to practice, not only practice, your contribution to social progress, social improvement, not only social improvement, your contribution to policy. Okay, so anytime you are conducting research, your research must have implications, which we also call it contributions to areas such as one, theory. And when we talk about theory, that's what we call academia. What's your research, or how is your research contributing to enriching what we already know in literature? So your research must do that. Then secondly, your research must contribute to enriching or helping to bring about practical solutions. In other words, your research must impact practice. Your research must have impact on practice. So that's also the second thing that your research must do. Then the third thing is that your research must have impact on policy. But it's not all research that are going to have impact on policy. So you have to take note of that, because when it comes to some of these policy things, it's kind of some of them is, there's no way your research at the end of the day, any policymaker will read it. And when I say policymaker in this context, I will look at it a little bit away from practice or the industry where you are researching into. Okay, example, maybe out of your research, then there is a new law which is going to be passed to guide maybe how construction is done in Ghana. Just an example. If your research is able to bring something like that, then it means, yeah, your research is very impactful. But the truth of the matter is that when you take 100 research studies, you may get 1 or 2 that will have direct impact on policy. Yeah, most of them may have indirect impact on policy. It's a few research, and normally research that tend to have impact on policy. You can see that mostly they are sponsored by some of these policymakers. And when I say policymakers in this context, I'm talking about some of these governmental institutions. I'm talking about some of these big organizations that we know all over the world that make impacts on our lives, like WHO. During the COVID-19, a number of people conducted studies on. I think one of you, your audio is on. Please, you can put it off.
I think it's on it.
Annette, please, your audio, yeah, you can put it off, but you can still listen.
Oh, yeah. It's off. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, so your research must have impact on policy. During the COVID-19, some people conducted research or researches on how COVID-19 at that time. Well, now the COVID-19 is still around, but now the spread and all that has has come down a bit. I mean, they have come down, the spread and its effects, they have come down. Now we don't hear much about people contracting this COVID-19, people dying from the COVID-19, people this and that and that and that. That thing has come down a bit. During that time, people conducted studies. And some of these studies, they had direct impact on policies that some of national government, I mean, some of these government. A typical example is what was conducted in America, which I have written an article about it, called Operation Warp Speed. It's through Operation Warp Speed that we got COVID-19 vaccines. And that's Operation Warp Speed. They use a certain model, which I have done a lot of studies on, which was my PhD. They use a model called PPP, Public-Private Partnership. It was the partnership between the national governments around the world and some of these pharmaceutical organizations, international pharmaceutical organizations and scientists. They came together, they conducted a research, and they came about with the COVID-19 vaccine. And we all have used this vaccine, and now it's like the COVID thing, the spread of the COVID thing has come down, kind of. Part of what we want has come down. Yeah, so for Operation Warp Speed, through the PPP model, if you are or you were part of those who conducted such research or that kind of research, then that kind of research, we can say it had impact, direct impact on policies. Yeah, because we all, I mean, later on they were even coming about, they were coming about with this kind of vaccine mandates, which some people stood against it. And even in some countries, a form of vaccine mandate worked, that you can't travel without having, if you have not been vaccinated, you can't travel. If you don't have, if you don't show your vaccination certificates, you can't travel from one country to the other. All right? And Leonora, I think when you were coming from Ghana, you were told to show your COVID-19 vaccine certificate. So
No, because before I left UK to Ghana and I was fully vaccinated.
so you were in UK, then
and
you
I left to Ghana.
to Ghana, okay, then you came back again.
So when I was coming back from my PhD, they didn't ask me anything because I was fully vaccinated. Since they know I've gone and come back.
Okay. But
from UK to Ghana, you can't be in the flight without fully being vaccinated.
Yeah. So exactly. That's what I'm talking about. So those who took part in that kind of research, they had impact, direct impact on. But a number of studies, they tend to be more of theoretical. They tend to be more of like they have some kind of small impact on practice, but they don't really have direct impact on policies. Yeah. So I mean, and you don't need to worry yourself trying to bring something new into this world if your work is not like that. It's not everybody's research that will impact policy. Yeah, your work may only contribute to literature. That's it. That's your contribution. You move on. It's also still a research. Some people to their research will have impact on social progress or the way we live our lives. A typical example is some of these social scientists. Today, all these things that we see, gender ideology, sexual ideology, and all the things that are going on in the news, all these things in part came about as a result of some researches that some people did. Yeah, they were all influenced, or they all have been influenced in a larger extent by research. Research is very powerful. That is why countries that understand research, they don't joke with research. Research is an integral part of development. Yeah, so all these social things that we see today, in parts, in one way or the other, they came about as a result of research. Climate issues that we see today, climate change and climate crisis, people brought about awareness and started talking about it all from the research point of view. As a result of some research that people did. So your research can also have social implications. Then normally those who are in the social science field, they tend to have their research impacting on social issues. Okay, how to raise your kids, how to be a good mother, blah blah blah, how to be a good father. So yeah, I'm just trying to, introduce you to some of these things, yeah, kind of. But it doesn't mean that it's only those who are in the social science field that have their research impacting on social dynamics or social lifestyle, whatever we want to put it. But those of us who are also in the construction management field, so our studies can also have impacts on the way people do their things. Okay, yeah, and it's true. Even the way buildings are done today, there's a certain building in Sydney, which I want to show it to you. Okay, it's an example of green building. It's an example of green building, what we call green building. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so this is an example of green building, as you can see from here. This is the building I'm talking about. So this type of building, it has had impacts on the way people live their lives. And even there's a certain people with a certain social status and financial status who have, I will not say they have the opportunity, but normally they are the people who can afford these types of buildings. Yeah, so even construction also in a way has also impacted the way people live. So if you go to a certain country, a certain area in America, there's a place called Beverly Hills. In Ghana, we have the East Legons. Kumasi, we have the Atasimaso. And cool. These places are normally inhabited by a certain group of people. A certain people with a certain income. Certain people with a certain income. They are within a certain income bracket. Okay, so construction in one way or the other has impact, putting us into classes. Those who are rich, those who are poor, those who are. So construction too has also had impact on the way people live their lives. Because if you go to some places, the places are inhabited by the poor. And normally some of these places are, we normally call them the slums, or they are full of uncompleted buildings, and so forth and so forth. So in one way or the other, construction of all kinds of construction that you can think of have had impact on the way people live by putting the human race into classes. Yes. A situation where the poor people live, where we have the rich people live, and a place where the middle class, they live. Yes. I think all of you here, you know Accra very well. You have stayed in Accra, or you know Accra very well. There's a place called it's new. It's called Ajeringano. Ajerigano. Annette, I think you know that.
Yeah, Jingano. Yeah. They
Ajeringano.
have School Junction now. School Junction, Jingano,
East Legon Hills. Yeah, especially a place called East Legon Hills. And then another place called Airport Hills. Airport Hills. Airport Hills is close to the Kotoka International Airport. It's also close to the military, it is Burma camp. That place is inhabited by only rich people. And very rich. Extremely rich in the society. That's how construction too has impacted. So maybe your research. So I'm just trying to explain to you how your research can have impact. Your impact could be academic. So if you do a research or you conduct a research and your results is academic, that's fine. It's possible your research may go beyond academic and impact practice. That's also good. It may also go beyond practice and affect policies. National policies, local policies, regional policies, district policies, whatever policies that you can think of. And then your research can also have impact on social lifestyle, social progression. Your research can also have impact on that. Okay, good. Enough of all these impacting. Let's come back to what we are doing today. And today we are looking at electric vehicles. I want to introduce this topic to you. Then we go into the method. My concern is not about the topic per se, but how to get there. That's the most important. So of late, we have all heard about, or we have all heard of this electric vehicle thing. Yeah, people are talking about it. It's everywhere. Is there anyone here who has not had any opportunity to read anything about electric vehicles? I think we all have. Even if you have
Yes, we have.
even if you have not read, you have heard. Yeah, it has become a topical issue. Why? Because over the years, we have been using cars with fuel. And according to not only climate activists, but the fact of the matter is that the use of all these fuels, they have had and they continue to have impact on our climate. And how do they have impact on our climate? The pollution, which we call them emissions, the emissions that you put out there, that's the let me bring it down to like the smoke. Let me bring it down to the level that we understand it. The smoke that come out of our car, but is it a smoke? Well, we call it emissions. It's not really smoke, it's like a smoke. Emissions. So these emissions, they have had impact and they continue to have impact on our climate because they have a way of affecting the ozone layer or the ozone. And we are seeing all these rising temperatures and floods, hurricanes, thunderstorms, and all the weather changes as a result of that. Yeah, so as this issue became a problem, or people identified this some years ago, I would say about, from what I know, about 30 years ago. But it has always been a problem. Actually, it's not only 30 years ago. There's always this emission thing has always been a problem. But about 30 years ago, the thing became clear that there's a need for us to fight. There's a need for us to put measures in place in order to cut down emissions. And one of the people who championed or has championed this is the former US president called Al Gore. Maybe some of you have heard his name before, Al Gore. Al Gore. He was the vice president of President Bill Clinton. Yeah, Clinton went away, then Bush came, Bush went away, Obama came, Obama went away, Trump came, Trump went away, and then Biden. Yeah, so that was, this thing is around the year 1997, 1998, 2000. Because at that time, Al Gore was about to go out of office because at that time they have served their 8 years. Because in the US, you can serve only 2 terms for 4 years. They came into power in 1992, 1993 with his president, Bill Clinton. And then one of the areas that Al Gore started championing is to make sure that we do something about this climate change thing. So they started working on it, and he has been doing well. Yeah, But with respect to the things that he put out there, one of them was to find a way to reduce these emissions that come out of cars. Yeah, so people started coming out with this idea as to how to manufacture or bring out these kind of cars that we can use, which at the end of the day will either eliminate completely the carbon emissions or to reduce it. Yeah, so some companies started coming up with ideas, a number of them, especially the whole things. US came to the European Union countries like UK, Netherlands, Sweden, and co. They joined the fight. And then not too long ago, what we call the Asian tigers. The Asian tigers, I mean the Malaysia, the Singapore, and then later China. They have also joined the fight. Okay, so the aim of this whole electric car thing is just for us to the long and short of all of it is that we'll stop using fuel because this kind of petroleum or the fuel or diesel and its products, related product, the diesel and coal, they produce too much emissions, which at the end of the day tend to have effects on our climate. So the long and short of these whole electric cars is for us to just directly use electricity. But one funny thing is that which other people have also argued against is that these electric cars, electricity is also coming out of hydro. And hydro too also has a kind of that's a way of also releasing some emissions, which also affect the climate. Okay, so I think in the long run, what I'm saying is that there will be a time where we'll only use renewable energy or anything that will help us to generate electricity, but through the renewable energy things like maybe solar, solar, wind. We use direct electric power. Yeah, but for now, all these electric cars and their electric car, charging stations and all that, they are all connected to, most of them are the electricity power, they are coming from hydro. That's the thing, they were coming from hydro. Yeah. Okay, so yes, and that's it. In this our study, in this our research, what we are trying to look at is to look at the charging station or where to charge these electric cars. Okay, so currently most of them tend to be, I don't know whether some of you have seen them around, but in my uni we have stations. They are more of like, they have built some EV, electric vehicles charging stations. So let me show you some of them. And normally these things are built outside. It's not even related to a building or something. It's like they have built it just like how you go to a fuel station, right? And then go and buy fuel. That's how they have been built. So we have some in my school, for example. So an example is this one, as you can see on the screen. Okay, they are not connected or they are not related to the buildings. Okay, but in our case, so this is something like this. In our case, what we are trying to look at is, and some of these things are also done is like it's outside. It's not really related or connected to buildings or houses. But in our context or in our case, what we are trying to look at is the ones which have been built inside a house or they have been connected to a building. Okay, I just want to show you one. So the ones which have been built, it's just like trying to plug something, like maybe you have your laptop, your heater, your any electrical appliance that you have, then you just pick the charging thing, then put it in the socket, and then you plug it on. Okay, so people have started arguing that okay, we are getting to a point where many people are going to have these electric vehicles, and I don't think people will be interested in going to some of these charging stations, which are completely outside their houses or they are far away from their houses, but rather they want something like just a normal socket. It's like the normal socket. And then do you have a normal socket in your house where you plug your things?
Yes, I do. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. So people want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
Mhm.
want something like that. So they want a normal thing which they have built it, or they have incorporated it, they have grafted it, they have put them into the building, just like a normal socket. Okay, so if they are going to do something like that, then what's going to be the effect of something like that on the building, and then the energy consumption of even the entire house? Because here is the case where you're going to charge a car. So it's likely, which we are not sure of, it's likely the energy consumption will be high compared to charging your normal laptop. And then another thing too is just like how we build, because we are all engineers, kind of how we build houses, and then when we are about to finish the house, we ask the electricians to come in and then come and put in sockets and other things that will help us to plug and charge our things. So the question is, how are they going to put these EV charging things into building? How are they going to incorporate them into them? So these are some of the questions and some of the things that in this study we are interested in to go into. I actually checked online to see whether a lot of studies have been done with this, and I saw that no, not much studies have been done. Studies that people have done are the charging station infrastructure. The charging station infrastructure example is like these ones that you see, just like how you go to fuel station and you see these things that you can go and charge your, and you can just go and buy fuel and put it in your car. Okay, but these things are a little bit different from building something which looks like a normal socket. I was just trying to look at one, but things I'm not getting what I wanted to show you. Which look like you just look at this from the point of a socket. Okay. Yeah, something like this. So this is what people want. Okay. And somebody will ask, where did you get this idea from? Okay, so I got this idea from New South Wales, the state that I'm in Australia, the Sydney. It tend to be the state government. The state government recently came out with a policy. This is the policy, as you can see from here. It's called electric vehicle ready buildings. And as you can, this is an example of that. Can you see the picture? You see the building, and then the charging thing has been designed to be part of the building. So just like as I said, just trying to, like, you are building your house, and then you asking the either electricians or even the project manager to put in sockets and other things that will help you to charge your house. So people are coming to a point where they also want this EV charging things to also be part of any building that anybody will construct. So when you build your house, you can tell the contractor or the builder to put in an EV charger or an EV things. It could be a charger, it could be any other thing that will help you to charge your EV. And if it is possible, maybe something like something that will help you to service your EV car. Okay, so the question is, how does that go with construction? Because this is new. I mean, have any of you? I mean, any of you have you heard this thing before? You know?
Yeah, I think I saw this
Okay.
at my, I think, a family friend's house. That was in the UK,
In the
in
UK, yeah.
Birmingham. So they had a place to charge it in the house.
In the house, yeah.
Yeah, so they had one electric car and then they
Good,
charged it at home.
good. So it's not something that is common. Even that one, the thing that you saw, I think maybe it's even one in maybe 100. But I don't think.
Well, here in Southampton, it's really common a bit.
Okay, it has become common, right? Right, where you are.
Yes, the reason is, people in the northerns, when they go on pension, those rich people,
Okay,
they tend to come and settle in the south,
in
which
the
is
south.
Southampton.
And where you live?
They've made this place very expensive because there is this story about Titanic, which started in Southampton. And that's where they took off. So they had
Titanic, the popular, the historic Titanic.
Yeah, the journey started here in Southampton.
Okay,
And
started from Southampton. Okay.
Yes, and they got some of the parts of the ship that sank. So it's here for more or less like how do I even put it?
It's more like a museum, kind of.
Exactly. And then we have a museum here, 2 museums here. And there are ships for people to cruise and stuff. So when they go on pension, the rich, well-to-do people tend to buy houses here. They sell their houses in the northerns, come and settle here.
Oh.
And these people have started using these electric vehicles, and you could see them,
And they are having them, yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. Also in Sydney too, there are certain places I know that some areas, not everywhere, some areas that you go that you see these electric vehicle ready buildings. But where I live, people are not that rich. And yeah, some people have Tesla and all that, but they rather go to the charging stations. If they have electric vehicles, they go to the charging station. They don't have them connected or incorporated into their buildings. Yeah, for the rich people, yeah, Nora, you're 100% right. And unless what you said is also true. So it's something that gradually, it will become common because it's like we are all moving to a point where, if not everyone, but majority of the people will use electric vehicles. And the target is by the 2050. The year 2050 is expected that everyone, or I would say majority, will use electric vehicles so that we can cut down these emissions from petroleum. So what is going to happen is that all these nations like Qatar, UAE, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Nigeria, Libya, and some of these oil-rich countries, what is going to happen is that they will lose their power. But there's something that they are also doing. In place of losing their power, they have also projected in advance. So yesterday, for example, I was reading something about United Arab Emirates. UAE, their vice president, kind of, which is more like a prime minister, is the owner of this English Premier League team called Manchester City. That man is the owner. And yesterday I was reading something about them, about UAE, and how UAE, they know that that's what's going to happen in the next 20, 30 years. So they have started investing in, I would say they have started investing in, I'll use the word human capital, like they are developing their human capital. They have started looking at somewhere else. So today, if you go to UAE and all that, they are investing a lot into technology, into AI, artificial intelligence, into BIM, building information modeling, into digital twins, into some of these technological stuff, which they believe will transform their country or to put their country in another powerful position in the next 30 years when they lose that power. So that is what is happening. And I think it's a very interesting topic, which we are, or it's very practical too, which I think we can look at. As I said, for now, in the global south, when I mention the global south, I'm talking about the developing countries. Most developing countries have not started experiencing these electric cars. And I think even some of these, including our own country, Ghana, if you go there, you will not see much people or many people using electric cars. You may get one or two people, but it's not that common. Yeah, but a time is coming in 10, 20 years time where this thing is going to be common. And I want us to take the lead and do this research, put it down, so that in the future people can refer to it and then they can cite. So where do we start from? So after all these talking, where do we start from? That's the most important thing. So where I normally start students from when we are undertaking any good research is first look at the literature. What are the existing studies? What are the existing reports? What are the existing documents? What are the existing theses? What are the existing conference papers, journal articles that are on this topic? Okay, so that will take us to what we call the literature review. So we are going to undertake literature review. We want to review, we want to check what existing studies are saying. And based on what existing studies are saying, we can move from there, whether it's even a researchable topic or it is not. Okay, so after the literature review, we can come to that conclusion. So I'll take you straight to the literature review. Okay, other things will come later on, but I don't want to bombard you with so many things now because it's not even us. It's not good for me to do that. So now I'll start from somewhere and then take you to so I have a PowerPoint I did over the weekend. I think some of the things in there are important, which I can share with you. Yeah. Okay, so the first word is, what is literature review? So the literature review is a combination of two words, literature and review. So what is the meaning of literature? So basically, we have two types of literature. We have, can you see my screen? We have academic literature, and then we have what we call non-academic literature, which we also call the gray literature. So what are the academic literature? The academic literature are the literature which are produced by academic institutions, by students, by academics. Academics, I mean the lecturers, the professors, the teaching staff, and the people who are in academic institutions. So they are called academic literature. And they come in the form of theses, dissertations, conference papers, textbooks, journal articles, newspaper. Sorry, newspaper is not. Yeah, but we also, it's possible a school can have a newspaper, but it's not something that schools normally do. Yeah, and reports. Schools can also produce reports, but it's also, normally reports are not really associated with schools, but the schools can also, yeah, schools can, because KUST can put out there a report. Legon can do the same. Academic City. There's a university now in Ghana called Academic City Excellence, whatever. Unless, am I right or wrong?
I've not heard of it, so Academic City.
Yeah.
Is it in Accra?
It's in Accra. Around
No, I've not heard of it. Circle, no, I've not heard of it.
It's popular.
Oh, okay. They do what IT? Is it IT things or what do they do?
IT, medicine, including even medicine.
No, I've not heard of it. I think I'll check.
Yeah, check. Okay, so these are the literature that normally you find. Essays. essays, notes, short notes. All these things come from students, lecturers, professors, teachers, tutors. They come from them. So then we have a second literature we normally call them gray literature, gray literature. And you can also call them the non-academic literature. This literature comes from institutions and people who are outside the academic field or academic sphere. So we have the newspaper like New York Times, Washington Post, Guardian in UK, Ghanaian Times, GTV, UTV, UTV, and institutions like Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Housing, Ministry of Environment and Science, the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Defense, and so forth and so forth. And it can also come from some of these institutions that are also well known all over the world. World Bank, WHO, that's World Health Organization, and then also companies and organizations like KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, Deloitte, BAFO and BAFO, and so Ghana Institute of Engineers, Ghana Institute of Builders, and then Annette, your institution, what's the name?
Ghana Institute of Surveyors.
Ghana Institute of Surveyors, good. So all these institutions can put out their report and document institutions. And normally nowadays, those they used to be with them. When I say used to be with them, we have to go to them, maybe go to their library or something. But nowadays, because of the internet, you can quickly get some of these documents on their websites. There are a number of things on World Bank, United Nations websites. If you go there, you get a number of documents, reports, and all that. So these things are called gray literature, non-academic literature, and they are also important when you are reviewing your literature, or you are doing literature review. Then the second word is review. What is the meaning of review? According to Oxford Dictionary, the word review means to view, to inspect, or examine something for a second time, and then again and again and again and again and again. So that's review. So you are reviewing something. And what are you reviewing? And for what? So normally you review literature. And then for what? You must have a purpose of reviewing literature. You must have a purpose. So we'll come there very soon. Okay. Then I take you to the types of literature review. So now we know what literature review is. And so what are the types? Are there types? Yes, we have types. So without wasting time, there is 14, a list compiled by University of California, Los Angeles. This university is very popular, so the 21st best university in the world. UCLA is a very popular, well-known university in America and also very popular all over the world. They have, so you can copy the link and also check. They have a list of literature reviews, 14 of them, but they took this from a publication done by Grant MJ and Booth A in 2009. And the title of that publication was A Typology of Reviews, an analysis of 14 types and associated methodologies. And this was published in the Journal of Health Information and Libraries Journal in the year 2009. So if you want to get the full story of types of literature review, you can read them from here. And this paper is popular and is a good thing. It's a good paper that you have to read. It has been cited over 8,000 times. That means it's something that it's a good paper. Because we determine whether a paper is good or not by the number of citations that that paper has received. Good. So 8,000 plus since 2009. So here they have given the types. Yes, Leonora, what's your question?
Please, could you kindly copy the link and put it in the chat, the WhatsApp chat? Thank you.
I'll put it in here, but I can also take a photo.
And this place, when you were done, I don't think we can be able to get it because I think Zoom doesn't allow you to come back.
Okay, yeah. So let me get it for you. But I'll share the video with you anyway, but at the same time, let me get it here for you. A minute. Okay, so get this paper and read it. In this paper, the authors gave a historical background of literature review. Why do we do literature review? Where did it come from? There's a historical background why we do literature review, and the reason why it seems to have become something very important in the academic space. So please, you have to read. And one thing I want to say before we even continue is that you need to be somebody who loves reading. Now that you are a researcher, okay, do your best at least every week if you are able to read an aspect of something. I'm not saying that one I can't tell you how to do it because I can't tell because I can't tell you read this and read this that. It's up to you. But I'm encouraging you to be a lover of reading, be a lover of books, be a lover of literature. To read more. Yeah. So when you read this paper, it will give you the historical background of literature review, how it came about and why we do literature review. Also, it has given us the 14 types of literature review, the advantages of each of them and the disadvantages, which they have categorized them or they have put them as the perceived strengths and the perceived weaknesses of each of the types. But please, another thing too I want to say is, just for this is how they have done it. It's possible you may go and read a paper somewhere and they have categorized them into literature review into maybe 5 or 10. It doesn't make their work, I'll use the word, it doesn't make their work bogus, or it doesn't make their work not good. But rather, that's how they saw it, or that's how they see the types of literature reviews. It's possible you read papers or articles somewhere, and the authors have also categorized, or the authors have categorized the types of literature reviews into, let's say, 8 or 7 or 6 or 5 or 8 or something. Yeah, any of them is fine. But I prefer these people, their type, because most of them, they are sound to me. They're very sound. Okay, so let's go into them as to the types. So I will not go through all the 14. I'll pick the ones which are very important and we normally use in the construction management field. Construction, engineering, and architectural management field. So the first one, which is very common, which you normally see in most of the literature reviews that you read in our field, is critical review. What is the meaning of critical review? Or why do we do critical review? The aim is to demonstrate writer has extensively, the aims is to demonstrate that the writer has extensively researched literature and critically evaluated its quality. Goes beyond mere description to include degree of analysis and conceptual innovation. Typical results in hypothesis of mode. Okay, so as the name connotes, critical. When we say something critical, it means like the person is doing in-depth, deep, thorough review of something. I have some papers that I've used critical review. So I'm going to show you one thing. Yeah, so I did something about COVID-19. My paper on COVID-19, I use a critical review. So when you get opportunity and you read it, you get to understand how the critical review it works. Okay, so maybe if you get your time about COVID-19 and public-private partnerships. Okay, then other people too have also done a number of critical reviews in our field. Just go critical review in construction projects. You see a number of studies coming out that use that methodology. So you can use that. And normally what you see is that they have really done an in-depth analysis of the literature. The literature is on that topic. And normally they also have something that we call a conceptual framework. Either they present a conceptual framework or they will present some gaps and recommendations for future use. It could be future, it could be current use, for future uses more appropriate. Yeah, so there are a number of critical reviews in our field. So you can see computer vision techniques in construction critical review of structural equation modeling application in construction research, critical review of labor productivity research in construction journals, critical review of the use of 3D printing in the construction industry, critical review of procurement method research in construction journals, the features of construction, a critical review of construction future studies, and so forth, plenty. Okay. Then we have another one which is also common in our area. The rest you can read about them, okay? But I'm just going to concentrate on the ones which are. He mentioned literature review, but it's just the same thing I described to you. That's the generic term of what we know. We have one called preliminary review, which is also called a mapping review or systematic map review. Anytime you want to conduct any research, like for example, Leonora, for example, is currently doing her PhD and she has started doing some. She's trying to work on her chapter 1 and chapter 2 and all that. So currently, Leonora, what you are trying to do is you are doing some kind of mapping preliminary review. It's kind of it's not really in depth. It's just like somebody will say you are scratching the surface. You're trying to read and get to understand your topic, trying to understand what the literature which is existing on your work. Okay, so when you do that kind of thing, we can consider it to be like you're doing more mapping, and then more like systematic mapping. And that once you read some literature, you can put some of the studies together and say that, okay, based on my topic, I think this one will address this thing. This literature will address that thing. This thing will address that thing. And then I'll go into them. I'll go further and read more about them later on. Okay, so it's more of like this mapping review and systematic review, it has something to do with what we call the scoping review. They're almost the same, or it's almost the same. Okay, scoping review. Okay, then we have another one which is also very popular in our field called the systematic review. So before systematic review, let me talk about this. We have meta-analysis. The meta-analysis is purely quantitative mathematics. Currently, that's what I'm teaching some people. Okay, so if you check my YouTube channel, I've started putting some videos together for those that I'm teaching. The meta-analysis is purely quantitative mathematics. Yeah, that's where you use the random effect, the fixed effect, and all of that.
Do you say qualitative or quant?
Quantitative, pure statistics, okay. Mathematics.
Okay.
Yeah. So meta-analysis. So it's something I also have an upper hand here. We have the mixed studies. Yes,
yes. I know something of Prisma, which also has like meta-analysis.
The word Prisma is not actually a literature review type, but it's a way of reporting the literature review types. 2 types of literature reviews. It's a technique, it's a method, it's a way, it's an approach, it's a process, it's a pathway, any word that you want to use, of reporting them. So this is the name. The word Prisma, let me show you the full meaning of Prisma. It's preferred reporting items. Okay. Preferred reporting items of systematic reviews and meta-analysis reviews. So you get in there, I mean,
Okay.
yeah. So it's a preferred way of reporting systematic review. Systematic review is a type of literature review. And meta-analysis is also a type of literature review. So there's a way to report them. And the way to report them, you can report them anyhow you want to report them. Okay, but there is a way which has been accepted by the larger scientific community. And not everybody accepts it anyway, by the way, or anyway. Yeah, but it's largely used, especially those who are in the medical science background and then the social science background. They use the Prisma a lot. But when it comes to engineering, most people don't use Prisma. I've done a number of...
tend to, well, so when I started my program, I was meant to do a systematic literature review because I wanted to go by the 3-paper route, but I switched.
Okay.
And I started reading about how to go about this systematic literature review, and I learned about Prisma rules. And I realized that, like you said, in the business school and then the engineering context, they tend not to do the meta-analysis, but they always mention the Prisma, and then they will justify why they didn't do the MA.
Yeah. I know. There are a number of reasons. But it's one thing I'm trying to. It's one thing I'm bringing to the engineering field, which I'm working on. I actually got to know this deficiency when I did a work for one professor in our uni. Currently, I'm still on that project. I haven't finished. But when I started working for the man, he's more into this. He's medicine migration and all that. He's called Professor Andre Rezanho. He's a distinguished professor. And this man is an African. He's from Congo. He has won so many awards. And his citations are over 70,000. So it's just beyond everybody. Because an African, he has almost about 80,000 citations. And he has been given the distinguished professorship title. I'm currently working for him, doing some work for him. And when I started doing that work, I came to that point and because I have done a number of reviews in the engineering background, field. So currently I have no less than 6 or 7 literature reviews. I think I have about, even the ones that are even coming. My paper, 2 of my papers have been accepted within the last week. So I have almost close to about 10 reviews. So when I check what they do at the medicine and then the social science background, and then I also compare the papers that I've read in engineering, I saw that there was that kind of deficiency, there was that kind of testing. And I sat down, I was thinking about it, how come? Then I got to know some things. One of the reasons why in the engineering field, we don't use the meta-analysis is that, one, the engineering field, we don't normally, even though, events happen and all that, but we don't do this kind of, we don't do this lab trials tests. I'm not saying that we don't test anything or we don't validate anything. We do, but we don't really do that kind of thing. Like, if you want to see the efficacy of a new medicine, you go out and do some trials and see how it will work out. But in engineering field, normally we don't do that. It's only when we are trying to validate a model that maybe we'll go out there and go and pick 1 or 2 projects and let's work them out. So that difference is there. The another thing too is that there is a way that this meta-analysis has been used in the medicine and then the social science background for so many years. And I realized that it seems we don't have it. Okay, and it has to do with the methodology, the random effects, and then the fixed effects. There's something that we call heterogeneity and the homogeneity of studies. It's more, maybe one day I'll take you to, this is not really our focus today, I'll take you through that. Yeah. So I realized that these differences are not there with respect to the engineering field. I mean, we don't have it. They have it. So to us, it will be more appropriate if we don't follow that kind of approach. And when you check reviews that people have done in the engineering, construction, and architectural background, you can see that people have really cited the work that we have done. Now, we have a number of citations. Okay, so that's it. Maybe another time, you just I promise you that I'll take you through the meta-analysis more. But there are some fundamental issues as to why those of us who are in the engineering, architecture, and construction field, we don't normally use the Prisma. But once again, I want to repeat it, Prisma is not a literature review type. Prisma itself is a literature review type, but rather it's 127, I mean 27, so 127, 27 reporting items. In other words, Prisma is more like a checklist, a guide, a checklist. That's what it's called, preferred reporting items. So it's a checklist. It's a list that maybe you are doing your research, you want to, later on I'll teach you something called the quality analysis and bias assessment tools, which are also not normally done in the engineering literature reviews. Yeah, because most of the studies that are conducted in engineering and construction and architectural design, people don't do any quality assessments, bias, whatever, they don't do it. Yeah, so there are fundamental issues. As time goes on, I'll tell you some of them. And yeah, understand. Okay, any other question? Everyone okay? Can we move on? Okay, so maybe I'll spend the next 5 minutes more so that we can end, because I don't want us to go too much beyond the time. 5 minutes, give me 5 to 10 minutes, then we are done for today. Okay, then there's another type of literature review called mixed studies review. This combines both the qualitative approach and the quantitative approach. They combine the quantitative technique and then the qualitative technique put together. So it's called, and this one too, we don't see much in our field, but there are some studies that exist on that. And we have the qualitative systematic review. So a systematic review can be purely qualitative, can also be quantitative. But most systematic reviews I've seen are mostly qualitative. So what is systematic review? So systematic review is just you following a systematic way of going about reviewing literature. So that's how the name came about. So systematic means step by step. It's a procedural way of following some processes, following some procedures, just following some steps, stages, phases, systematically. So it's a systematic. You are from A, you go to B, C, D, E, F, G, H. You get it till you get to Z. Systematic. So with a qualitative systematic review, our concentration are more on using the qualitative analysis techniques to analyze them. So what are the qualitative? Some of you did in your normal theses and dissertations, you use qualitative data analysis techniques. So what are some of them? Some of them are content analysis. Some of them are thematic analysis. Some of them are ground theory. Some of them are, what other things do you know?
Well, review. mostly what I do is the thematic analysis, because that one you immerse yourself well into the research, but the content, you know, is too much. Like you have to take every bit of it.
Yeah.
Themes
So
are.
the systematic analysis is just like the critical review. That's why I started when I started this thing, or I started giving you the types. I told you all these methods, they are similar kind of. The differences are not that much because they are all digital reviews. The differences are. So once you get to know one method or two method of going about reviewing literature, you can almost apply it to almost all the other ones. Yeah, because there's no literature review type here that for now I cannot do. I can do all the 12 or 14 or so. Any of them that you give it to me, I can do it for you. Yeah. Then we have the one which is a little bit more quantitative. With the quantitative one, it infuses or it combines the normal qualitative or normal way of going about the review, and then also some aspect of meta-analysis. So you see words like meta review. So yeah, systematic review. Then there's another one called systemized. This one is not common in our area, but you have to know what is it. These are terms to include elements of systematic review process while stopping short of systematic review. So it's not really systematic review, but it's kind of the systematic review. Typically conducted as a postgraduate student assignment. So like more like done with your thesis, and you're trying to write something about your work, and for this method is not that popular. This systemized. Maybe used to be some old way of doing about it. Then umbrella review too is not popular. So focus on the ones which have. Then I think the last two I didn't talk about. Let me talk about them briefly. Then we go. State of the art, rapid review, state of the art, and scoping review. What is the state of the art? State of the art is to tend to address more current matters. In contrast to other combined retrospective and current approaches, we offer new perspectives. So something which people know for so many years. We want to know the state. When we say the state of the address, is it not the state of the address? Normally, a president come and give what the state of the address, or am I wrong? How do we say it? State of the address report or state of the address speech? Something. Like every year, state of the nation, good. So we want to know the current state. So the same, you can undertake a review to know the current state of a certain topic. A topic like construction cost, or project cost, or project time. These things have been around for centuries, thousands of years. We are not the first person going to write about or getting to know construction cost. The word construction cost has been around since Adam and Eve. They have been around for so if you want to know the current state, what are people saying about construction costs now? You can undertake the state of the art review to help us to know that. Then there's something called a rapid review. Rapid review is normally done like assessment of what is already known about the policy or practice by using systematic review method to search and critically appraise the system. So like normally this one, the time frame, that's the name called rapid. We want to know something as soon as possible as to what the literature is saying now. Okay, normally if it's normally related to a very common word. Some of these institutions, like World Bank, if they want to know the state of Ghanaians after voting for the MPP. No, I mean that was no restaurant. Sorry. Yeah, something like that. It is. So rapid review just normally it has to do with the time. It has something to do with time. It's a normal literature review. The normal literature review. It could be a policy review, document review, literature review, book review, whatever review. But it's normally done within a very short time limited formal quality assessment of the literature. Scoping review is normally, it's also time bound, and it's normally good to use scoping review when a topic is new, it's an emerging topic, one, and also you can also use scoping review for people to understand what is being said about an emerging topic. Normally, I would prefer to use scoping review when something is coming up, like a word like green building. Well, now green building has become common, but something like what we are doing now, this topic, the EV, ready charging buildings. You can use a scoping review because a lot of concepts, a lot of the words, a lot of issues surrounding this topic are not known, and if known, they are not that kind of, their presence in the literature is really limited. So if you want people to understand it more, go for the scoping review. Yeah, so these are the types that we have, and there is a one which, as you can see from my background, you can see one there. It's called scientometric review. If you check my background very well, you can see some of the results there. It's called scientometric. Scientometric is also another review, but that one is also quantitative. It's a form of systematic review, but it's more quantitative. Okay, so that's an example of a quantitative systematic review. And with that, you use some software like the Gephi. You use you can even use NVivo. NVivo can help you in a way. And then you can also use what we call the voice viewer. I know all these things because as I said, I've done a number of reviews. So these are some of the things I know. Yeah, we have submitted a number of papers which are under review, and we are hoping that they'll be published soon with this. Yes, so that is all that I will say. I want us to end here for today because I don't want to burden you too much with a lot of things. We are taking it step by step, and it's important we go into the next time that we meet, which is going to be next week. I'm going to help you to know how to conduct. All the things I've told you are more theoretical. Now we are going into the application. So how do you apply this in order to get your literature review done? So I'll show you the steps. So the first step is to develop what we call the search strategy. Then you need to come up with what we call inclusion and exclusion criteria. Once you apply the inclusion and exclusion criteria, then you extract the data. Then in the process of extracting the data, you have to do what we call the quality and risk of bias assessment, which once again, I said most construction management studies don't do this step 4. It's missing. So I will tell you why it's not done in our field. Okay, but it's good because nowadays one of my reviews that I submitted, one of the comments I saw that the reviewer mentioned that he didn't see the quality and risk bias. Why? So I'm going to respond to the reviewer. That's why I didn't do it. Then step 5 is once you have your literature, which in this context we call data, you do the analysis. But before we go, I want to tell you this. All this literature that we are talking about, remember, literature is also a form of data, which we Australians, we call them data. I mean, yes, boys, they're the same. So it's also a form of data. Don't forget, the literature that you are seeing, the books, they are also a form of data. What kind of data is that? So it's a secondary data. Why? Because these things have already been worked on. People have worked on them and they have published them. It's not something that you are going to do from the scratch. Okay, because if you take something like, if you are reading somebody's book, it's not you who wrote the book. Somebody has done his work and has published the work out there. So it's, you are going to read it for the second time, or you are going to just feed on that. So it becomes a secondary data. So all this literature that you can see there. And so the data that we use for literature review is secondary data. It's never primary data. So you get to understand this. The data that we use for literature review is secondary data. It's not primary data. Because, yeah. Okay, so yeah. That's all for today. Any question before we go?
So sorry, Annette, you can go first. That's fine.
Oh, okay. I wanted to find out, Isaac, have you decided on what the type of review we'll be doing for the EV?
Yes. For now, I don't want to bother you with the meta-analysis. No, I want to do the qualitative, systematic qualitative review with you, where we are going to use the teams, content analysis, and we are going to do coding, come up with the teams, and then we just do the analysis. So I will not bother you with, and it's possible I may tell Leonora to apply the en vivo technique that she got over the weekend with this one. But I mean, we can do it manually, depending on the number of people that we get. Yeah, so normally the en vivo becomes important when you are dealing with a large sample of data. But if your data is not that large, as for me, I've always been using manual. When I say manual, I do the reading myself and I pick whatever I want to pick from the articles, and I use them for my work. Yeah. Yeah. But if you want to go the tech way, use the en vivo.
I'm just a starter. But anyway, I think practicing it will even make me perfect. So
yeah. So yeah, we are doing qualitative systematic reviews.
Yeah, I think that will really help me because I'm a purely qualitative person.
Yeah.
Okay. Please, are we only going to do just Mondays? Because sometimes our time schedules might change. And honestly, I think we also have to think about you because of the time difference. Because I think myself and Annette, we have the liberty to have this time, but maybe if we can get to know a week ahead when it's appropriate for all of us to meet.
Okay, I think that's a good idea.
Because some of us have to sometimes go to work, and we shifts are like alternating.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So what we have to do is, I think a week, I'll put it before all of us as to when we have to meet or we want to meet. And it could be Monday, it could be any other day. For now, till I think getting to the end of July, I'm less busy. It could be any day, I'm fine. Because starting from ending of July, our second semester will start and I'll be teaching. So I don't know how that will be like. So yeah, for now, anytime that you guys will come up with, I'll be fine. And
but Leonora, is the morning not preferable for you? Because I think for me it's okay. But
not
okay,
entirely.
we can change it. Not entirely. Oh, okay.
Well, I can't really say because sometimes my supervisors call me anytime. Because today I wasn't supposed to go to campus, but I've been called for a meeting, which needs my attention on campus. And
that's fine. So after I said, Nora, it's fine. But I think we have to do is
right, like you can come in an adjo.
no, that's fine. Yeah. What we have to do is that we need to just agree on coming to meet.
Yeah.
I think I'll put it on the page as to maybe I think this time is fine. And then for I think Annette to work for her more in the mornings. And so yeah, morning Ghana time.
So for the morning, sometimes it will work for me if I don't have anything to do on campus.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, okay. Let's communicate rather. I think the communication will help.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's communicate on the page, and that will make things
easier.
very easy for. I think it's very easy for everyone. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think it's yes, you're saying let's just communicate. So anytime you said, I'm sure I'll be able to make some time for it.
Yeah.
But then the thing is, because Ghana, once you step on the road and you're in traffic and those kind of things, it's hard to find
a place.
Yeah. So but you're sure if we schedule it in advance.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll be able to
in advance. The word is advance. That's the most important one.
Yeah, but I think it's okay. Okay, let's just make it workable.
Okay. Yeah, any other thing? Okay. If there's nothing, then we'll bring today's meeting to a close. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to watch videos, you can check my YouTube channel. I have a number of videos that I've put together. You can watch some of them on your own. And then I will encourage you to also read that paper that I showed you. Yeah, kindly read so that you get an understanding of what the word literature review is. This is important. I just want you to have a strong foundation. That's one thing. Because if you don't get a very strong foundation going forward, things will be a little bit difficult for you. You may catch up later on, but it will be too late. So it's better you start and as you have started, you start well. You don't have to spend all your time doing literature review and reading literature review, but at least some time, maybe 30 minutes to 1 hour, you can do some readings on some of these things to get to sharpen your understanding on this thing. Yeah. So I wish everyone the best. See you soon.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Okay, so I hope we are meeting again this week, right?
Yes, this week I'm available on Wednesday and Friday. Even though the days will work for any of you, that'll be fine. Wednesday.
I think Wednesday for me.
Wednesday is okay for you?
Yes, Wednesday is okay.
What about Leonora?
I have a supervision meeting on Thursday, so I have to prepare ahead. So I think Friday will be perfect.
Friday.
Friday, what time? What time are you looking at?
Early morning, like the same time, around this time. Oh, it's not okay for you.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Annette.
Okay. What about Thursday morning? You have a meeting, so it's not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So there's no way we can do Wednesday, Leonora. Any day, any hours in the day of Wednesday.
Okay, Leonora, try. Okay, try and come.
I'll let you know, because the thing is,
but that's early in the morning.
One of my supervisors, she doesn't really give me the time. She's always confusing the other two supervisors. She will just call for a meeting and I have to rush there. So that wasn't supposed to even go, and she just called for a meeting.
That's not a problem.
But usually, what time is your meeting in the campus?
I don't really know. It can come sometimes early in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes around 7 p.m.
Okay, because I think he cannot meet in there.
Yeah, because of 7 p.m. mostly is online, but if it is within the day till 5, I have to go to campus and meet her.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is you need to find a way to work this thing out. The reason being that now that you have started your PhD, if you don't work this thing out, it's going to be the same throughout, and it will always go against you. So either you can talk to the other supervisors or something, so that you set a time which is appropriate for each and every one. Because if you don't do it that way.
Yes, the reason is she is retired and she only calls for meeting as at when it's appropriate for her. And the other supervisors now resonate with her. So, we have something called managing your supervisors well. You have to have this here at my school. You have to have a very
good relationship
with them, because if they tell you not pass, you won't. So I try to go with whatever she says in a way. And the best part is she's a very nice person. That's why I tend not to really complain much.
Okay, that's okay. That's fine.
Okay, I see. But I think because of Isaac, your time, right? Because of your time, it will be late there, so we can only meet in the mornings like this, around 7 to about 9.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Just that the only issue is sometimes either not at work, but maybe I've gone out to go and eat.
Okay,
Like more about dinner. But it's okay. No, I don't have a problem.
Let's meet Wednesday. When I go, I'll just tell her that I have something. If she has to call me any of the week on Wednesday, I have something to do early in the morning, so it can be after.
Yeah. Okay. So
she would agree.
You just let's see what will come out of that meeting and then communicate it to us. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Then the last thing to say is that the aim of this whole thing is to write a paper. I'm not going to just take you through it. I'm not interested, because if I just take you through it, I'll just be doing theoretical teaching, which you may not get anything from it at the end of the day. Yeah, you may get one or two understanding, but it's not going to be enough. So what I've been doing, and what I always do, is that whilst we are doing this thing, we start working on a paper. Okay, so that's even how come I came about that topic. So we will be applying the topic to the things that we are going to do for the next time that we'll meet, so that we'll be writing alongside what I'll be teaching you. When we finish, we can submit it. This topic is a very good topic, and I guess when we finish, we can submit it to Journal of Building Engineering. We can submit it to this journal. We can submit it to Cleaner Production, which I am one of the part of the editorial team. We can also submit it to Renewable and Sustainable Energy Reviews, which is also one of my journals. These journals, they will be happy with this topic, because this topic is a very good topic. So all that we have to do is do our best and write it well. Yeah.
I was actually thinking about one topic on AI where this ChatGPT.
Yeah, the ChatGPT, I've tried writing a paper on it, but the fact of the matter is that ChatGPT is more education inclined. If you write something about construction education or something, that's good. Now that's not really translated much into. It's more of, ChatGPT is more of like trying to maybe you mention this and the thing will write it for you, or trying to write something and that kind of thing. So it's more of like a learning tool, kind of. It has not really translated into where we can use them to guide us to do construction work. But I mean, as time goes on, I think some of these practical things will come up. Yeah, but for now, I think let's focus on the EV and the EV ready buildings, which I think is also a similar topic and a very good topic we can look at. Yeah, in future, I plan to write ChatGPT with so many people. And when I say so many people, I'm talking about my team. I have so many people in my team from California State University to Massachusetts University to University of Munich to a number, KUST, so many people. So we all come together and write one paper in nearby future on the ChatGPT. Yeah, but for now, the focus is on this. Yeah. Okay. So everyone take care. See you on Wednesday. Bye.
Okay. Susan, I'm waiting for you.
Yeah. So Annette, we are done, but I have another meeting. Like I'm taking her through some of her thesis stuff. So Annette, you can drop off and then see you. Oh yeah, see you on Wednesday. Okay. So yeah, so thanks for your time.